right, I'm gonna go at 6 o'clock, I'm gonna call this meeting to order, the Planning and Zoning Commission regular. I start over. Call this meeting to order, Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting for Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. Can I get a roll call, please?
Zamora.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
Boutros.
Here.
Larson.
Here. All right, we have a quorum, so we'll move on. Any conflict of interest declarations from any of the commissioners?
No.
Seeing none. There are no special presentations, and so therefore we'll move on to item 5, our consent agenda. I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as listed.
I make a motion.
So motion for Commissioner Harmon. Is there a second?
Second.
Second for Commissioner Boutros. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so I do want to just note for those in the audience that there is a request from staff for continuance of new business item 1 until the August 9th, 2023 public hearing. So that item won't be heard tonight. So if anybody's here and interested in that, just note it won't be heard tonight. All right, so my opening statement. So this Planning Zoning Commission, the upcoming item for new business is quasi-judicial hearing that involves in consideration of a land use request such as an annexation, rezone classification, or approval of subdivision preliminary plat. The public hearing procedures as required by the Idaho Code are as follows. Oral and written testimony will be accepted from those who have signed in to speak prior to the hearing being declared open. When providing testimony, please come to the podium and state your name and address, which will be included in the record. Staff will first present a report regarding the application being considered, then public testimony, which will be the applicant or the applicant's representative, which will present a summary of the request for no more than 10 minutes. Testimony of those in support will be taken, followed by those in a neutral position, and finally, those in opposition of the request for no more than 5 minutes apiece. The applicant then will be offered the opportunity to provide a rebuttal testimony. After the rebuttal testimony is given, the public testimony portion of the public hearing will be closed and no new oral or written testimony will be allowed. And so with that, I'm moving on to action item 1 of new business, which I would entertain a motion to continue to the August 9th, 2023 meeting.
So moved. Oh.
There's a motion by Commissioner Larson. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Commissioner Harmon. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we'll move on to action item 2, which is public hearing quasi-judicial case number ANN 23-000009, a request by the City of Caldwell to annex parcel R35-833-00000, each 0.49 acres located at 3905 South Indiana Avenue in Caldwell, to include all adjacent right-of-ways along East Ustick Road and South Indiana Avenue, with a proposed zoning of R3 high-density residential, which makes the zoning in conformance with the currently adapted comprehensive plan map designation of HDR high-density residential. This site is currently being used as a public park known as Brothers Park. There is no proposed change to the land use and no proposed additional development. The property is located on the northeast corner of East Ustick Road and South Indiana Avenue in Caldwell, Idaho. So with that, we'll open this public hearing and turn it over to the staff for a report.
All right. Thank you, Commissioners. Alex Jones, Associate Planner, 621 Cleveland Boulevard. You gave pretty much the whole rundown on this. This is annexation for Brothers Park. This is done by the city. For the request, it's annexation and zoning to that R3 high-density residential. Here's photos of the park. For the proposal, it's annexation of 8.49 acres. This is one of 3 parcels that make up Brothers Park. This is just a cleanup effort by the city, because currently it's in the county. So if the city wanted to try to pull any building permits for, say, like a new restroom or anything like that, it'd have to go through the county and not the city. For existing conditions, we have R1 to the north, R1 to the south, R1 to the east, which is also the park, and then R3 to the west. Comprehensive plan, this is high-density residential, surrounded by the east and west. All utilities are already in this site. We received no comments from anyone. We find that this is in conformance with the comprehensive plan, and that if you approve that, that is subject to the conditions in the SDOs. I stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners for staff?
Yeah, I have one question.
Commissioner Boutros?
Considering that this is not land that is ever contemplated for use as a residential development or anything like that, is an R designation even appropriate for the park, or should it be designated something else?
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, the city would have to do a comp plan amendment. It's just the comp plan designation for this zone is high-density residential. It's just easier to do that.
Good evening, Morgan Bisa. I just wanted to point out that the city does not currently have a zoning designation of public or semi-public, something to that effect. So there is no public designation that we can put on that currently. We just have residential, commercial, industrial. And as Alex mentioned, this is in conformance with the comprehensive plan. If at a future date the city adopts a public, semi-public zoning, that probably would be appropriate, but the city doesn't currently have that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Commissioner Larson?
I have another question, not to pile on. But, so, normally I guess we try to transition from R1 to R2 to R3. Why does it go straight from R1 to R3 in 20 feet? Right? Or I guess I just want to clarify, is what I'm saying correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sure that is correct. It could have been a oversight at the time when the comprehensive plan was redone. That was adopted back in 2020, so
Okay.
whatever their ideas were now, we are working on a comp plan change here soon, so within the next year.
Okay,
So
but
they'll
in
be
theory, it should be an R2 instead of an R3, unless the R3 has some special exception for parks.
So this, just what I'm hearing staff say, this is just a function, the comprehensive plan is already approved, just that's what
Yeah.
it aligns. And can we see the slide with the different comp plan designations? Yeah, so,
So, Commissioners, with the comp plan, it does match when you're going north. It does go from high density to medium density to, I believe, low density when you go out farther north. Being across the street, being low density, usually the streets can also act as a landscape buffer between uses, so. And if you look down to the southwest, that is actually commercial over there.
Okay, thanks.
any additional questions for staff? All right, so for those who signed up, nobody additional spoke in favor. We do have an individual that spoke up as neutral that would like to speak, and that's Mark Bicey. Oh, okay, so neutral do not want to speak, correct? Okay. All right, and there's no opposition, so any rebuttal to yourselves?
No.
All right. Hearing no further public comment, I would entertain a motion to close public testimony.
So moved.
There was a motion by Commissioner Boutros. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second from Commissioner Larson. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we are now, have closed public testimony, and so it's time for commissioners to dialogue on this. I understand some of these questions, but I mean, it's a feature. Otherwise, I would imagine that there would be additional actions we would have to.
Because this is just to annex it to go
Yeah.
to Caldwell now owns it instead of the county, which
Correct.
is reasonable. I'm trying to see big picture because we're not just zoning, we're also planning. So I'm like, do you guys are all mostly new, sorry, but do you guys have future plans of what we're trying to make this to be? Like, 'cause that park's fantastic for the soccer there is amazing. It's right next to the Y. It's a fantastic environment. I would not probably want high rises there, if I could have a preference. So I just guess, do you guys have a preference on why we would want it R3? What would be the end goal looking farther out?
Commissioners, with that, the mayor has said that he has no intentions of doing anything else besides a park here.
Okay.
When the comprehensive plan is updated, since this is city-owned property, more than likely it's just gonna get changed to public comprehensive planning, and then even zoning at that point, if the city considers the rezone. But the comprehensive plan designation in the future will more than likely be public, once we establish that zone.
Awesome.
All right, any other discussion? Seems pretty straightforward to me. So if there is no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to take action.
So moved.
You want to read your,
Yeah, I know what it means. Okay, public hearing quasi-judicial case number ANN 23-000009 for the annexation of Brothers Park. Based upon the testimony and evidence in record in this matter and upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law set forth herein, do hereby determine and move as follows. The request for the annexation of the parcel with a proposed zoning designation of R3 high-density residential is recommended for approval, subject to the conditions of approval as presented or amended.
all right. Is there a second?
Second.
And that motion was from Commissioner Boutros, the second was from Commissioner Larson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Boutros,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Zamora,
Yes.
Harmon.
All right, motion carries. And so with that, that addresses action item 2, which takes us to the last item on our agenda, which is adjournment. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
That was Commissioner Harmon. Is there a second?
Second.
A second for Commissioner Boutros. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting adjourned.
You have a guy that-
Was that Skyview Villas? That was the only other item of action, so maybe staff can work with you on that.